Hey, what's going on, Uproar Live? Do me a favor, give a shout out from wherever you're watching from. Let me get a wave. I always like to know who is represented in the chat rooms for midweek service because I believe the people that show up for midweek services are the people that are hungry and God is getting ready to take to another level. So I just want to see who is represented for this midweek service. And before we get into what God has for us this evening, I want us to get some things out of the way. It is offering time in your house, or in the gym that you're on the treadmill working out on, or the bench that you're on right now, or the car that you're sitting in, or the job that you're on. It is giving time from wherever. I think I covered most of them, from wherever you are watching from. And remember, in this season, we are giving towards our backpack giveaways. It's also anniversary month. And if you go to PushPay, you'll see in the drop down, we have anniversary seeds that we are encouraging everybody to sow into. It is our 17th year of ministry coming up. And guess what? We could not have gotten this far without God and people like you. So I want to give you a moment to sow into the moment, because it's the word that you sow into. Guess what? That is the word that always works in your life. So let's take a few moments to sow as I prepare our hearts for the word tonight. Many people ask me regularly, what is the push? Well, it is a mentorship Zoom that I do once a month with a bunch of leaders in the ministry, and I open it up to as many people that want to be a part of it. So what I thought we would do tonight is allow you just to peek in to our last The Push that happened just a few weeks ago. We had some great questions that came up, but I believe the content was so timely for people that are really trying to build the dream that God has given them. So if that's where you are in this season and you're trying to build your dream, whether it's your business, your career, whether you're trying to get through college, or just build your family and your finances, I believe tonight's midweek is going to speak to you, give you some help, some strategy, and some encouragement in this season of your life. So I want to get you to our The Push mentorship Zoom that took place just a few weeks ago. So check it out.
I thought tonight what I would talk about is something that I've been processing a little bit and thinking about. And I wanted to talk from the topic of building a dream. I think a lot of times we have dreams and we have things that we want to do, and we don't really know how to get started. And ultimately, we think just because we get a dream, God's going to do all the work. And that dream can be the dream of being married, to the dream of being a millionaire, to the dream of being a speaker, to the dream of being a leader, an entrepreneur, you name it. The sky's the limit. If God gives you a dream, you don't let nobody tell you it's not God. But here's the thing: the greater the dream, the greater the process. And that's what a lot of people miss out on. You can't have Elijah's double portion without going through the process that Elijah had to go through to get it. And you see this all through the Bible. Joseph had a big dream to wear a coat of many colors, and everybody was bowing to him, the sun, the moon, the stars. God gave him a dream of greatness as a young boy. It would take him about 16 years to get there because the young boy was arrogant. The young boy was bragful. The young boy didn't know how to keep his mouth shut. And what God had to do was he had to send him through a process, and everybody's process is different. But Joseph had to go through betrayal by his own brothers, people he thought he could trust in. You know you're on the cusp of something that God is trying to do in your life when quickly he allows you to see that everybody that says they're for you is not really for you. He was thrown into a pit by his own brothers and sold into slavery, and he would work for Potiphar and scrub floors and give his best. And yeah, he would have little promotions like, Joseph, I'm going to put you over my house above all the workers. I mean, that's kind of a promotion, but it's nothing in comparison to his dream. And then he would be stepping into this new position and he would get accused of rape. That's not a part of the plan. I just got accused of rape and I didn't do it. But nevertheless, he got thrown in jail and he had a felony on his record. And now here he is sitting in prison. and interpreting people's dreams. He's in prison, and this is leadership. Can God put you in a prison, but you're still helping people understand their dreams? That's one of my favorite parts of the Joseph story. He has this big dream and he's in prison, but he's not robbing people of helping them with theirs. And most people, when it seems like your dream's not happening, you keep your mouth shut and you stop helping people with theirs. But God will put you in a prison to see, can I get you to make something happen for somebody else? And trust that I'm the one that's going to make it happen for you. And then he would go on to help Pharaoh with his dream. Once again, Joseph's dream still not happening. But when he would help Joseph with his dream, his whole life would unlock. His family would be saved from famine. The lineage of Jacob would continue on. But the dream had to be built. And I could talk about Noah, even Adam to Jesus. We just see the Bible as a Bible, but it's really God building towards Jesus. It couldn't happen right after the garden. There was a process that had to take place. And we see shadows and types all through the Bible, but it's really just God building and setting the tone for Jesus. And so I was telling somebody recently, I said, whenever God gives you a dream, you have to build towards it. And that's where the faith comes in. Can you build towards something that looks so far away? Can you build towards something that seems so unlikely? Can you build towards something that people are going to laugh at you about? Can you build to every single mother? You got children. Can you build those children towards a man coming into your life? The same thing for every father. Can you build your children towards a woman coming into your life? I'm reading the book Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. That's it. And he's the one that this is the book. He's the one that founded 11 Madison Park. Well, he took it over, and when he took it over, it was just a little two-star restaurant, nothing major, and he threw his whole life at making this into one of the top five and some years top restaurant in the whole world that you need a 2 month reservation to even get into now. And what he did was he started getting it off the ground, and he got invited to a banquet that had the 50 greatest restaurants. And I think he came in at like number 50. And everybody clapped, and he was so frustrated, and the camera hit him right when he was frustrated. 50 is pretty good when you think of the whole world, not just the United States, the whole world. But he said that began to drive him because he didn't just want to be in the top 50, he wanted to be number one. And there comes a place in life where you have to say, just being in the room ain't good enough. I need to be number one. Paul said, everybody runs, but only one wins the prize. Run so that you can obtain the prize of the life that God has for you. He says this in the book. He says, we had a radical idea of what a great experience could be, and our vision was like any other out there, or not like any other out there. You're not being realistic, some would say, invariably tell us. Every time we contemplated one of our reinventions, people would say, you're being unreasonable. The word unreasonable was meant to shut us down, to end the conversation, as it often does. Instead, it started one and became our call to arms, because no one who ever changed the game did so by being reasonable. Serena Williams, Walt Disney, Steve Jobs, Martin Scorsese, Prince. Look across the discipline in every area: sports, entertainment, design, technology, finance. You need to be unreasonable to see a world that doesn't exist yet. And so when God gives you something, you have to build towards it. And the more people God puts into your life, the more conscious you have to be of all the people that are connected to you. And so you can't just startle people with change. You have to build towards change. You have to prepare the people you care about, the people that are under you, for what's coming. One of my interviews that I want to do for the Catch is with an old preacher that I sat down with before I ever started my church, and his name is Bishop Clifford Johnson. And I waited a month to sit with him. And I was a construction worker, and he didn't give me a 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock convenient meeting. He gave me a meeting for 11 o'clock in the morning on a work day. That meant I had to take off work. I had to go home. I had to get showered and get changed so that I wouldn't go into his office in construction clothes to sit down with him in the middle of the day. And I gave him an offering. I lost money, gave an offering, I made a sacrifice. And he told me one of the greatest things that somebody would ever tell me. He said, don't try, don't take the ones that everybody wants, take the ones that no one wants and make them into the ones everybody wants. So that meant don't go after all the people that look like they could be great. Go after the people who others look over as being great and make them into something. And that would become the mantra of our ministry is we would take people that came in that didn't necessarily look like they were headed towards greatness. But after getting your hands a little dirty and working a little bit, greatness, that little mustard seed would be put in a good environment, a good culture, and everything that was on the inside that God placed in them that you couldn't see in seed form would come out of them. But what he was telling me is if you want to have a great church, you're going to have to build a great church because you build towards greatness. And sometimes people will even come into our ministry and they'll say, well, what is your goal right now? Or sometimes people don't know our goals. And I say it, I'm still building my team. We're a church, but I'm still building my team. I don't have the team yet, though I have great pieces that are all a part of that. I don't have the team yet that God has told me I'm going to have to do what I'm called to do. Because the greater the dream, the more time it takes to build towards it. And so some people come in to see a church. I don't see a church. I see my 12 people that are feeding the 5,000 with everybody in the building, from the kids to the people sitting in the sanctuary. It's not necessarily the church. It's the disciples that have to go out and feed the world. And when you're thinking about building a team, you have to treat everybody that God places into your life as if they're a part of your team, from people that are going to help you execute to even mentors that you're going to pull on. All of these people come together to create your team. Because it doesn't matter how great LeBron James is, it doesn't matter how great Brunson is, or all of these players. It takes having the right team around them. And it takes time to build a team. So with that being said, I know everybody on here has a dream. What are you actively doing to build towards it? Because when you don't build towards it, the frustration begins to linger. But when you are building towards it, you realize that everything you're going through right now, it's not that God is punishing you. He's preparing you so that you don't lose your dream in 5 minutes after building it for 30 years. He's getting you ready for the dream he has for you, Joseph. And the process is always the process. Leonard Ravenhill said this, and I'm going to move on. He said, the opportunity of a lifetime must be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. The opportunity of a lifetime must be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. God gives your opportunity an expiration date. And what people don't realize is when you play with it, when you touch it and you leave it alone and push it to the side, the expiration date's getting ready to come up. So you really don't have the pleasure of being light on yourself. You have to develop as fast as you can. You got to study people that are doing what you're going to do. You have to get your attitude in order, your language in order, your mind in order, because the expiration date is going to hit. And if you are not ready when Katrina comes and you don't get your levees in place, what should be your biggest blessing is going to be the thing that drowns you. And it's going to set your life back 20 years because you were playing with the opportunity and not building yourself and your settings around the opportunity of a lifetime. Because the opportunity of a lifetime must be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. And church is just a side note. Church is an opportunity. The Bible says, while we have therefore opportunity in Galatians 6:10, let us do good to all people, but especially those of the household of faith. Everything that God has ever done in somebody's life biblically always starts in the house. He puts you in the house to practice your talents, to practice your gifts, but ultimately to show him that he can trust you making his house. Because if you build his house, he'll build your house. That's how God works. You build his house, he builds your house. You're too busy for his house, he's too busy for your house because it's reaping and sowing. That comes right before that opportunity scripture. So you have to realize God always gives us the opportunity to make our lives better. It's just sometimes we don't hit it as hard as we need to. So when it comes to building a dream, what's the first thing that I really want to hit tonight? And I'm going to breeze through these quickly so we can do some Q&A, but there has to be buy-in. It doesn't matter how great your dream is if nobody's buying into it. When I was starting the church, we called it At All Cost Ministries, and it was At All Cost Ministries for 6 years. Our colors were blue and yellow, and it was really convenient because we would just buy IKEA brand stuff and it would be our brand. That's what we did. So we were always going to IKEA to buy IKEA umbrellas that were blue and yellow, tables that were blue and yellow. It was real easy to brand it because IKEA had our colors, or we took IKEA's colors one way or the other. We were blue and yellow. And somebody had asked me, they said, I would have came to your church a long time ago. I didn't know the church because it said ministry. Well, I came out of storefront churches that were always called ministries. Jesus Lives Ministries. Hear the Word Bible Ministries. From the Heart Ministries. And all the churches I came out of used the word ministries, but they were all small churches too. And then I realized because At All Cost Ministries, when I was 19 to about 21, I had my own radio show in Glen Burnie, and I paid my own money to air every Thursday night from 8 o'clock to midnight off of 8th Avenue. It was a little radio station. It was an AM radio station, and I would pay $200 a week out of my own pay because I had a dream to have a radio show that played Christian rap music. And I would have all the Christian rap artists call in. And that's when I fell in love with Christian rap. I loved the name At All Cost Ministries because that was the name of my radio show, At All Cost Radio. Oh, I became all things to all men that I might by all means save some. And what I realized was when that person made that comment to me was, I love this name more than the community does. So I could be At All Cost Ministries and be the lamp hid underneath of a bed, or I can change my name so that people know what I'm building. And so I changed it from At All Cost Ministries to Uproar Church. And so I had to get buy-in. And sometimes when it comes to getting buy-in, you're going to have to realize what are the things that I care about that the people I need don't care about? And are you bold enough to cut it off? We get lots of ideas in the church. We should do this ministry. We should do that ministry. We should make this happen. We should make that happen. But then when I say, well, you make it happen, people tend to get quiet because there's a lot of ideas, but here's the thing, not every good idea is a God idea. And so if we take on too much, we burn out. And so you have to figure out what are you at your core, and do you have the courage to build towards that? Because you can't do everything, but the few things you're going to do. This is why Steve Jobs went in and he sliced so many Apple products when he took over and got them all down to I think like three: the computer, the Mac computer, the iPod, and the iPad. I think it was, or something like that. It was just like three or four things he cut down to. Why? Because they were putting too much out there and they weren't being effective in anything. So you have to figure out what are the things that you are willing to cut so that you can create buy-in. Because you can't do everything great, but what are the two or three things that you can do great? You got to get buy-in. That's what the Acts 4 church had. Everybody was selling lands and bringing money and laying at the apostles' feet. The church had buy-in. And buy-in isn't just an organizational thing. You have to have buy-in. So everything that you want in life, from the job, the opportunity, going for the interview, you name it, if you're not getting the results you want, it's because the buy-in is not strong. And so you have to go back to the drawing board time after time after time and figure out, how do I get buy-in? Even going down to finding a good spouse, guess what? It takes buy-in. So if there's no buy-in coming your way, it could be that you love your at all cost ministries more than the people you need to. And how bad do you want to succeed and build your dream? Do you have the right, do you have the right buy-in? When the buy-in is there, excitement is in the atmosphere. When the buy-in is there, people are getting behind your mission, your vision, and your values. What are your mission, vision, and values for you? If somebody say, "What's your mission, Nick? What's your vision, Nick? What's your values, Shannon? What's your values, Kiana?" Would you be able to say them quickly, or would you need time to think about it? Because the same way we say it in the huddles every week, love God, love people, cause an uproar to the kingdom come. Can everybody connected to you, from your business to your home, recite your mission, vision, values? Because if the answer is no, that's why everything's chaotic. Nobody knows what they're doing in the house. There's no mission, vision, values. And so, how can we get mad when people aren't buying in, when they don't know what they're getting when they get us? So, there has to be buy in. Once you establish the buy in, you have to bring order. Order is scary because often, once you try to bring order, disorder will cause problems. So you have to understand that bringing order is going to require strength, but God is not the author of confusion. And the reason that order is so important, Jesus said this in Matthew 12:25. It says, Jesus knew their thoughts and said, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself will not stand. This goes for your company, your home, the church. Wherever there is two visions, there will always be division. So that you have to find a way, as Paul said, to be on the same accord, speaking the same thing in 1 Corinthians 1:10. No divisions amongst you, because wherever there is division, there will be a fall. So you have to look at every area in what concerning what you care about, and you have to bring order to the division, order to the disorder, and that takes great courage to confront disorder. So, what is it that you have to bring order to? Because people can buy in, but if there's no order, they will buy out. And everybody's not going to like your buy in. That's what you must understand. And everybody is not going to like your order, but it has to be unique to you. I told Amaris recently, we were sitting in the back and we were having to talk because I'm still training her to be chief of staff. She's you don't see it, but she's riding around the church on a bike, but it has training wheels on it still. And and it's this the training phase. So soon the wheels will be taken off, but that's part of training into a new area. Is it's step by step. We talk. She screams at me. I scream back at her sometimes, and we just kind of make it work. And Colleen's like, "Whew, I'm so glad that I'm not getting those Sunday afternoon text messages so much." But I was telling her, I said, I know it's hard doing your position, but I said, but what you understand is what you allow, both good or bad, but especially the bad, what you allow shows me what I'm worth to you. So if you see me as a big deal, then you shouldn't tolerate anything that's beneath me. If you see me worth fighting for, then you should fight for my vision. And so that's how you have to see what you're building as important. When I walk into Ashley's uh, pet daycare, I'm probably not saying it wrong. I'm probably all over. I know you groom, you walk animals, you take care of them, you do a whole lot. I do not want to insult you, but she's doing amazing things in the DC area. But when I walk in based on the employees, the atmosphere, and I don't know her, I'm determining what her employees think she's worth to them. Because that's going to cause me to have buy-in, whether it's a pet or a child. I don't want to leave someone or something I love in a place that doesn't have buy-in, because that means it's probably a little crazy because it has no order. And so I'm always looking for worth in a place. The difference between Chick-fil-A and McDonald's is night and day. Why? Because the buy-in is a little bit different. The order is a little bit different. The experience is a little bit different, a lot different. It's the difference between Glory Days and Ruth Chris. It's the buy-in, it's the order. And so when it comes to what you're building, what kind of order are you setting to it? You have to build relentlessly or build relentless. Once you start building, you got to throw your whole life at it. You got to count the cost and realize that the opportunity of a lifetime must be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. Play with it another month and it could expire. You have to nail it with everything that you have. Like David, he could have stared at Goliath and said, "This is too big for me." He nailed the opportunity and his whole life changed. Are you nailing the opportunities that God is giving you? Or are you just kind of, it'll work out, it'll come together, it'll be this, it'll be that? You have to build relentless. The one thing that people don't see on Sundays is I build relentlessly. Like, I don't play games. I don't play games. Uh, Amaris will tell you when she was first getting started, one time I said something. She denies it to this day. I don't know, but she kind of rolled her eyes at me. And I remember I think I looked at Colleen and gave Colleen that look, and Colleen knew the look. It was deal with that. And I walked away. Maris had to take a little break for a season, but the break was good for her because sometimes you don't understand how bad you want something until you don't have it. And she fought for it. And I think she's glad she fought for it. And that's the story for a lot of people. I could go box by box with people close to me because you learn standards and you have to be willing, just like a marriage, just like friendship, you have to be willing to do a journey with people without running every time your feelings get hurt. But you must build relentlessly because the Bible says all that ever left could not stay, and all that stayed could never leave. The people that are called to you will stay with you, whether you're building relentlessly or you're hitting a season where you're depressed, or you're hitting a season where you have menopause, or you're hitting a season where you're burying someone you love. The people that are wired to do life with you will do life with you to the finish line. And the people that are not wired to do life with you, they'll walk away. And the worst thing you could do is try to beg them to stay. So you have to build relentlessly. So what does this require? It requires great sacrifice. Nobody should ever sacrifice more than you for what you love. You look around, if anybody's sacrificing more than you, they want it more than you. Don't be mad when they get it. It's great sacrifice. It's great suffering. Can't tell you how much I've had to suffer doing this through 17 years. Most people come in on the back end of my life now and they see little things that what they think is a big deal. I'm not losing no sleep over because I've learned the worst thing in the world is, and this Bishop Jake said this to me a long time ago, when a dog barks at the moon, nothing happens. When the moon barks at a dog, it becomes a big deal. And I don't want to get to my next point, which is battle strategically, but you must understand that in the midst of building your dream, there will be suffering seasons. Seasons where my car was broke down in front of the church for a few years in Glen Burnie, and I had to get rides to church in Glen Burnie at times, but I had to preach faith every single week. There's going to be seasons where you have to suffer, but it's the suffering that is building you up and making you strong for the blessing that God's getting ready to give you. So you have to be okay with suffering. You have to be okay with submission. Submission to what? To who God has placed over you, but also to what he's called you to do. You have to submit to the guide that God puts in your life, but also submit to what God has given you. I say it all the time. What would the church think if I came in on a Sunday and said, "Hey, everybody, guess what? I want you to meet my new wife. She's a little tired today because she was working at the strip club till 4 in the morning. So work with her a little bit. She's getting herself together." What would the church think of me? It don't mean she don't have potential, but she can't be a first lady. Would y'all stay at the church? It's the reason I say that is because my dream I have to submit to. And when you figure out your dream tells you who to marry. Your dream tells you what jobs to take. Your dream tells you what community to buy a house in. Your dream begins to tell you where you should spend your money, where you shouldn't spend your money. You have to submit to your dream. And that's hard because if we don't know how to submit to nothing and no one, we battle not just submitting to the right people, but we battle submitting to our own dream. So I want to post this picture, but what's it going to make everybody who's supporting you that you're trying to get by it to buy in? What's it going to make them think about you if you post it? I just want to talk about, I got a couple friends that whenever somebody dies, they talk to them all year long through social media. Dad, I just want to tell you. Mom, I just want to tell you, I'm doing okay down here. Does all of Instagram need to see that? And what you don't understand is I get you're hurting, but your hurt cannot be pushed on the people that you need to buy in. They need to see security and strength and leadership. And there's a rule: you never cry, you never bleed down, you always bleed up. So you always bleed on people that are higher than you. You don't bleed on people that are under you. And so you have to understand it takes great submission. Submission. Me and Bishop have a rule. If I don't listen to him one time, we're done. Don't matter what it is. Don't listen to me one time, we're done. You got to have people in your life that you have that kind of submission to, but also you got to have a dream that's so big that you're willing to submit to it. My dream is what keeps me accountable. Pastor, with holiness, because there's some things the Bible say you can do, but if I do it, it would hurt a lot of people. So I have to submit to my dream, even when I want something, but my dream says, nah. It takes submission. You have to be a person of standards. What do people know that you won't do to succeed? What do people know that you won't do to get the man, get the woman? What are your standards in life? When you die, what do you want people to stand up and say about you? That matters to me, what people say about me. Standards. Are you a person of standards? You will not bend. You will not budge. I'm a person of standards. Even with building a church, I will not bend. um, I tell people all the time, Jesus fed 20,000 people with 12 dudes. We can make a church service of a few hundred happen with five. You don't bend on your standards, even when it could mean you got to suffer a little bit. And lastly, you got to have great strength. You cannot build without strength because it is going to take every bit of strength out of you. And you have to be strong enough. And often what people miss is that the moment you run is often the moment you were usually close to God finally saying yes. Your strength broke, and it was a gift to you, but it was also a gift to the people that were ready to promote you, because the worst thing in the world for you would have been to get put in a place that would have made you hate your life, but also for you to get in a place that makes them hate what they're doing. So you have to have great strength. Battle strategically. Don't fight every battle. Don't fight every battle. It is not worth it. But Pastor, they're doing it. Don't fight every battle. People want ammunition. And the moment you say something, you've just thrown gasoline on a little spark that'll die if you just be quiet. The Bible says the battle does not belong to you. So battle strategically, and understand this, breaches happen. Breaches happen. You are going to, when you build your dream, Joseph, you are going to be betrayed, Jesus, Judas. You are going to be betrayed, David, by your own son, Absalom. You have to understand that breaches happen. But whatever kingdom that God is building in your life, the kingdom will remain when it's all said and done. This is what it takes to build a dream. So, to every dreamer like Joseph, to every dreamer that's on here, do you have the courage to build your dream, not just with the exciting things like getting people to buy in? That's easy to do. You know, we had billboards before the pandemic on every intersection, not just little bins. We had literally billboards everywhere. I think we had up to like 6 billboards at one point on Reisterstown Road and all of that kind of stuff. It's easy to get buy-in. Buy-in's not hard. It's exciting to get buy-in. Building and bringing order is where it gets hard because order challenges people's normal. And so, do you have the courage to challenge people's normals that say they're a part of your dream? Do you have the courage to build relentlessly? Do you have the patience and the discernment to battle strategically and realize people want you to fight? Don't give them the benefit of the fight. The Bible says Jesus was as a lamb to the slaughter, he uttered not a word. Somebody told me a long time ago, my friend, one of my pastor friends, he said, the best way to make your enemies mad is to show them your life getting better without them. Be quiet and don't get bitter. Make a decision to get better. And don't post your bitterness, post your betterness. And lastly, understand reaches are going to happen. They happen on multi-million dollar levels and they happen on low $100 levels. Sometimes I've had times my credit card or my bank account got hacked with a few $100s in it, and they took more than a few $100s. They left me negative 1,000. Breaches happen on all levels. You have to understand you are not exempt from a breach of your dream. But just because the breach happens doesn't mean that your reach has to stop happening. Because the opportunity of a lifetime must be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. Your dream is going to expire if you don't get focused soon. So how focused are you? This was the building of a dream. So I want to take a few Q&A. I said a little bit. We got some time. So Colleen, I'll give it back to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for an impactful message. I know you guys all enjoyed that building a dream. And so we are going to shift into the Q&A segment. Now, we do want to make sure that we stay on topic tonight and stick to the topic at hand with any questions that arise. But we'll take about three and we'll go ahead and get started. And so I will go ahead and call on Chanel first. Chanel, go ahead and take it away.
Okay, sure. Good evening. Thank you, Pastor, for this. So my question is, if you are doing all of this, if say I'm doing all these steps to build a dream, and you mentioned the expiration date, for example, opportunity, you want to seize the opportunity, it has a lifetime. How do you know you're getting close to the expiration date, or what are the signs that that date is coming and what you would want to achieve, you may not get there, or you need to do things faster? How do you know that date is close?
I think a multitude of things help you feel it, from age to time frames of when you wanted to have things in place. That's why I set my life in decades, so that as the decade is expiring, I know whether I have to do more or I can kind of coast a little bit into the expiration or into the promise that God has for my life for that particular season. But I'm looking, there you are. My boxes just shift. So I was trying to look at you. But you have a way of feeling it in your spirit, and I can't really put it into words, but you feel a little anxious, you feel a little vulnerable, a little frustrated. And sometimes we minimize that feeling, or we think we're just going through a bad season. But what it's really the Holy Spirit telling you is an expiration's coming. And you owe it to yourself to go to the drawing board and saying, with my mind, my body, my spirit, am I building towards this dream with everything I have to? Because you may not know. See, the moment that God begins to show me something he wants to do, I just do it. I don't worry about how people feel about it. They'll tell you how many times have I called a 10 p.m. Zoom with something I want to see in place by Sunday. I don't apologize. I want to see it in place by Sunday. And sometimes it's little things, sometimes it's things that's going to alter all of our lives for a month, because it means that we're going to be at the building 4 or 5 nights a week. And that's part of the submission piece, because the people around me have enough trust that if I feel led to do something, they know my heart well enough to know that it's God leading me. And that's why they jump on board so quickly. And they've never fought me, never made me feel guilty. If I say I'm going to rebuild the sanctuary, do this, do that, they're going to gather the money, gather the people, be there all hours of the night. There's most times when we do a build, we're there till 4 a.m. and then having service and practice at 6:30 a.m. because we're always up to the finish line. It's because they just have a trust that if I feel led to do something, it's never for me, it's always for the people. And so we all jump in. But when God speaks to me, I understand that my obedience is going to bring disruption to everybody around me. Just like your obedience is going to bring disruption to everybody in your house. And if you're a single mom, your obedience is going to bring disruption to your child and the child's fathers and all that kind of stuff. But you owe it to yourself to move when God is speaking to you and let God deal with the disruption, because there's always going to be disruption. When God brought order to the world was in chaos. And the first thing God had to do was bring light like a blind man. And light is painful. But God cannot work in the midst of darkness. He has to bring in light. And light is painful to a person who's never seen. Your change is going to be painful to people. Stop trying to make it easy and stop trying to baby them. Rip the Band-Aid off and realize that in order for me to bring creation to this chaos, I have to bring light to the darkness. My light is my willingness to be obedient. But you got to feel it in your spirit. And the moment that God gives it to you, you got to know, I'm giving this all I got. And if you don't know that you've given it all you got, you need to go back to the drawing board. But I have a feeling you could feel the anxiousness. That's not because you're an anxious person. It's the Holy Spirit's way of telling you to wake up. You're getting close. And if you're doing everything, it's the Holy Spirit's way of telling you, don't give up because this thing's getting ready to happen. So that's how I gauge it. What else we got?
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Chanel. Next up, we have India.
Is there a, can you speak a little bit more about the shock when it comes to the people around you buying into your dream and building the team like within your home?
What do you mean the shock? Like, explain that a little bit to me.
Because
What you
you
mean by the shock?
mentioned when you're building the change, and you said don't shock people, but build with them. Is there like a too harsh of a way, I guess, to get people to be like, okay, going forward, this is how as a team we will operate?
Oh, I understand what you're saying. Well, here's when you're the person that pays all the bills, you set the tone for your home. And like for me, there's things I won't allow in my home. There's an atmosphere I need in my home. The Bible says that God is not the author of confusion, but peace. I need my home to be a place of peace. So there's not going to be anything in my home or people in my home that throw off my peace. Um, so you have to set the expectations for your home, but also set the expectations for, I'm trying to word this in the right way for you, but you have to set the expectations in such a way that this is where I'm going and this is what I will not allow around me any longer. Because once people are over 18, being around you is a privilege. Being in home is a privilege. You've done your job. You've gotten them to where after this, it's, I heard Bishop said this to me before. He said with one of his kids, up until 18, I have to take care of you. After 18, you got to show me you're grateful, so I want to take care of you. It's a difference. I have to up until 18. After 18, you have to show me you're grateful for all I've done, so I want to take care of you. And so I think if people are grateful for you, they'll fall in line because they want to be connected to you. It shouldn't be such a fight, but you do build people up. You talk about where you're going. You get people like I do. I'll hand out books to our staff and say, read this book, check this out. I'm trying to build you up to keep up with me. Because here's the thing, when people don't keep up with you, a gap forms. And eventually the gap just becomes so wide that you're never going to catch up to me. And so I want to keep that gap as small as possible so that we can get to the finish line. A statement was said a while back at a conference I went to. What's more important, competence or character? Was it competence or character? Competence. I think it was competence or character. Yeah. And the statement said, it was like, well, I think character is important because if you have character, you care, and your character will put you in a place where you want to be competent and learn and keep up. But if you hire somebody that's competent, but they don't have good character, they're going to destroy what you're building. So if somebody has your back and they care about you, they're going to care enough about you to be competent for what you've given them to do. So build them up. You got a grown boy as a son now. Build him up. Build the people around you up to get behind your vision. I've told moms that are on this Zoom, when you believe that God is positioning you to eventually get married, you have to start teaching your sons, your daughters, that there's certain things we don't tolerate no more in the house so that it's not culture shock when the right person comes in. because you don't want to create a culture that makes a good person run away. So you have to build towards your dream on all levels. I hope that makes sense.
That was good. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, India. And last but certainly not least, we have Ashley. Ashley, you may unmute yourself.
Okay, hey everybody. So right now, I'm in the order stage with everything that I'm doing. And like you mentioned like losing people because you're putting that structure into play. And that's something that I'm dealing with right now. And so my question is, how do you move past like being disappointed? Like, I don't doubt that there's a reason for things that have happened to happen. But it's just more so like you see your vision, you know where you want things to go. And I think it's just more so like seeing the potential in the people, but understanding that like, I guess like I'm not really like mad that I had to like make the, cut people out, but it's just more so, I guess, being upset about having to make that decision.
Yeah, that never ends. I wish I could say the disappointment goes away. It never goes away because when you care for people, the sad thing is people tend to, like for me, there's not one person on this Zoom that I would ever say that if I look at you, I don't see somebody that could do something amazing. And I start looking at people. I look at people as I meet them. I look at people that serve. I see sacrifices people make. I see things people do instinctively that that you can't train. It's just something that's instinctive, and I see where they could go. I always try when I meet people, I never try to look at the bad side of them before I find the good things about them. And so there's a lot of people that I see great things in. Most people I see great things in. The problem is they don't always see it. And they may have a feeling that they're called to do something great, but having a feeling and building your life towards that greatness are two different things. And so for me, the best thing you can do to keep yourself from being disappointed is create structures of reward for people that they can obtain themselves. And whenever they meet those bars, highlight them publicly. Because what you nag about only creates a cancer that spreads, but what you reward is what reproduces. And so rather than focus on the 3 people you had to let go of or the 4 people you had to let go of, highlight the one person that's doing everything right and create systems of reward to reward the people that have stayed with you. I've had hundreds of people leave through the years. I'm okay with that because I like me and I know what God told me to build and the pattern that God told me to build it. What I'm not okay with um, is compromising what I know the Lord told me to build. And so what I've learned through the years is I could cry over what left or what leaves, or I could celebrate the people that are always there to help me hold it together. And so I choose to celebrate the people that care, not the people that leave. And so God will always put people in your life that care about you as a person, care about your dream, care about what you're building. Um, Celebrate those people, embrace those people, reward those people. The other thing, and that's why I wanted to invite you on tonight. The other thing about it is you want to find communities of people that have the same problems as you. Communities of people that can help coach you and strategize with you on how to get through every season. Because, you know, when all of your hope is like a single parent who all their hope is in their kids and their kids are their best friends. What happens when the kids leave? you know, that's the tragedy. The kids are going to leave, but just because the kids leave, don't mean you have to stop enjoying life. But you will stop enjoying life if your only community is the kids and you don't find a bigger community of people that are trying to slay something big also. And you got to have rooms where people talk to you on a higher level so that it toughens you up to be who God needs you to be. Because for what you're building, you haven't seen the highest version yet. God's just processing you right now. And he processes through heartbreak to get you tough enough to make decisions that are going to gain you another $1 million rather than just putting you in a place where you're trying to keep your head above the water. And you get built into being that kind of decision maker. Where now I just instinctively make decisions. Burn it all down. I don't care. It's just as long as God's with me. And I've seen God do it over and over again. I've seen God provide in my moments where I said, man, I don't know what you're doing, Lord. I've seen God provide over and over and over and over and over again, but he had to build me up to the place where I felt confident calling down fire from heaven. And that's what he's doing in your life. So the disappointment is going to be there, but celebrate the people that God is putting in your life that have your back.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed yourself tonight.
I did.
All right. Is that everything?
Mm-hmm. We do have one in the chat if we do have time for that.
Okay. Yep.
The question is, thank you, Pastor. You mentioned battling strategically. How do you recognize when you're investing your energy in a battle that's not yours? And what can help you step back and realign before wasting more time and effort?
That's a good question. I know it's a battle that I'm not supposed to be fighting by the toll it's taking on my mind and my heart. The moment it starts taking a toll on my mind and my heart, it's not my battle. When it's God, I can run at it. When it's God, I can stand flat-footed and talk trash about my Goliath. When it's battling my mind and my heart, I may need to go back to the drawing board. And I don't mean like battling, like, I mean an attack coming at you, because there's certain things that you're going to have to go through, and I'm going to touch on that in my recording. I'm dealing with Elijah on his deathbed, and he told the young king, he said, I want you to shoot an arrow out the east window, and I'm going to really talk about how, God says I'll open up a window of heaven for you, and that's true. God will do a blessing through a window for you, but you better make sure that you open the right window. He said, open the east window. And he said, and when you open the east window, I want you to pull the arrow back with the bow and let it go. And because that's ultimately what God does with our lives, is like the bow and the arrow. The further you pull the arrow back, the further it goes when you release it. And in order for you to go far in life, that means that God has had to take a whole lot of years to pull you back. But when he releases you through the window of opportunity that gets opened, you're going to get a chance to see the victory that's getting ready to come into your life. But he told the young king, he says, I want you to run out and find the arrow, and I want you to pound the ground with it. And the king did it once, twice, 3 times, came back smiling to Elijah. Elijah says, you idiot, why didn't you bang it 4, 5, or 6 times? Why didn't you hit it a little bit harder? He said, if you would have hit it a little bit harder, you would have never had to fight this battle again. But because you hit it halfway, you'll win today, but you're going to lose years from now. And when God gives you the window of an opportunity, he expects for you to hit it with everything that you have. So pound the ground a couple times if you want. You're going to miss out on what God has for you, because he wants you to hit it with everything that you have inside of you. And so there are going to be moments of frustration where yes, your back is against the wall and you're hurting because of the opportunity that you've been given. That's having done all to stand. But when people are picking on you and hurting you and walking away from you and you feel like you got to chase them back, let them go. Let them go. Like I used Damaris as an illustration, and I can use her now because she's not in that place no more. I can use a Colleen now because she's not in that place no more. I can use people that have been sat down, people that have had a hard road to becoming who God has called them to be, because they're not there right now. But had they walked away because their head and their hearts were hurt, they would have missed out on the chance to be used by God. The process is the process, but it's understanding that God is only processing you. I'll say this, you know that me or my team, you know we see greatness in you when we confront you. What we don't talk to, we don't care about. That's the truth. What we don't talk to, we don't confront. If they sit in a room with you for 5 minutes, it's because they care about you. If they give you 30 seconds and say, I'm too busy, we just got to make this decision, they don't care about you. And it don't mean that they don't love you. It just means that they've given up seeing greatness in you a long time ago because you keep resisting and fighting. But when they're willing to talk with you and sit with you and explain things to you, it's because they're giving you that time because they see something great in your life. And you have to see that way and not see it as rejection, because God is up to something and God is processing you for something that is so big that you're going to not believe the life he's about to let you step into. So you have to keep fighting, and you have to keep running at your promise, because God knows what he's doing. So I just wanted to kind of make that clear, that sometimes the pain of the process, you just have to go through it, but you do not have to deal with the pain of holding on to people that do not want to do life with you. Let them go. So I hope everybody got something tonight. I wanted to just kind of build up a little bit this evening and talk about the building of a dream, because building a dream is hard. And I've seen so many people throw in the towel because they think it's going to be easy, and they don't realize what is going to be required, whether the dream is your family, your finances, finding love, keeping a marriage together, you name it. Whatever dream God has given you, it is going to require everything from you. Everything from you. In closing, people ask me, how did you, when I preached at the Potter's House, were you amazed? I said, it really didn't feel like I thought it would feel. I thought I would walk off feeling like floating and all this kind of stuff. I was kind of sad when I got done, because all the people that said that they were going to be there when that day happened one day, the dozens of people that served and said, we're building towards this, we're building towards this, you're going to get there one day, Pastor. All those people, outside of a handful, weren't even here no more. They moved, life hit them, stuff happens. And I realized that it was never about the people that get to the finish line with you. It was about the God that gave you a promise that was going to make you get to the finish line one way or the other. And sometimes, like Jesus, you're going to get to your finish line, and the people to the left and to the right, you're going to say, how did I get stuck between you guys? And the people that you thought would be standing to the left and to the right, John and James, can we sit on the left and right? The people who said they would sit on the left are going to be replaced by sinners and thieves. It's not about who's standing around you. It's about the fact of, did you get there? And you have to take your focus off of who you want to get there with you and focus on getting there, so that you and God can have a moment, like Colleen said, so that you can have a moment where you know when you look up, God is standing from off his throne for you. That's what it's all about. So that's our push for the month. Once again, hope you all got something. Colleen, you want to close us out with any remarks?
Yes, sir. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Pastor Jet, for pouring into us this evening. I know you guys all enjoyed it. I know you got some good notes, and so we want you to meditate on those notes, see how you can apply them to your life and walk this thing out. But again, I want to thank you, Pastor, and of course, a reminder, our next The Push date will be taking place July 23rd at 7 p.m., so definitely mark your calendars. We want to see you, and if you feel as though The Push is impacting you in any way, be sure to invite other people who you know are regulars at the church and encourage them to join. Tell them what you've been receiving from it. Push them so that they can grow as well. And of course, our book, we are going to continue because it is a great book. We're going to continue in Your Desired Future by Dr. Henry Cloud. So keep digging into that. And next time on The Push, we're going to take some Q&A and see what you guys have received from the book and so on and so forth. But again, thank you so much again, Pastor, for pouring into us. And we hope you all have an amazing evening.